This is Eagle Freedom Presents Showtime.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Here's your host, Destin Rogers.
What if you could stop trading your hours for dollars and start living life entirely at choice? Today's guest has been doing exactly that. Welcome back to Eagle Freedom Presents. Our mission here is to rise, inspire, and overcome. And today's guest embodies that spirit in every facet of her life. She is a United States Marine, a veteran business owner, and a leader that I've had the distinct privilege of working alongside across multiple companies. Over the years, she has truly become a very dear friend. With a bachelor's in organizational management and an MBA, she has been the architect of her own success since 2006, running a profitable business from home as living life truly at choice. Today, she serves as the CEO of Ultimate Manifesto, LLC. But what makes her truly unique is her holistic approach to life. She isn't just about the bottom line. She's a nutrigenomics educator and health and wellness coach who is passionate about how lifestyle medicine and genetics intersect. Whether she's helping others brand themselves to create multiple streams of income or diving into her passion for fitness and cooking, she leads with purpose. She joins us today from Colorado. She recently found happiness, and that happiness is now her husband, Kevin. She is also a mother of 4 and a grandmother of 4. But she's also experienced her own adversities in life, and yet has persevered to become the gentle soul she is today. Would you please welcome a powerhouse entrepreneur, a sister in arms, and my good friend, Michelle. Hello, Michelle.
Oh, hello, Destin, and everyone watching. Hello. What a nice introduction.
There's so much I could probably spend an hour doing that.
Yeah. Oh, so nice. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but we have been through a lot, and I think it's been over a decade that we've known each other and got to know each other's families and understand each other. And when we start this show out, what I really like to do is bring my listeners into who we are, who it is that we're talking to, their background, where it is they came from. So can you bring everybody to speed on, where life began for Michelle?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So in 19, no, I'm just kidding. Um, well, I always tell this fun story. When I was first born, I was 3 months premature. And my birthday I was supposed to be born in January 31st, and I was born November 17th. So I was always ready to get on with life, like get stuff done. And so the nurses called me a little fighter, a little tiger fighter from the very first moment. And that definitely has fit my personality throughout my whole life I guess, get stuff done. So, yep. But what happened with me, just bring you up to speed of where we're at today. So, when I was 18, trying to decide what I wanted with my life, I had the distinct opportunity to be raised by an educator. So I knew the value of education, and I knew I didn't want to spend money on something that I didn't know that I wanted. And so I didn't want to go to college, though I had a full ride scholarship to become, a chef, actually. And I was scared to go across the country. And as it happened, I tried to do life on my own. And like most 18-year-olds, they don't have it figured out yet, financially, emotionally, physically, all of the things, just doing life as an adult. You think you're an adult, but you don't really. And so I tried for a little bit, but I failed miserably, bounced checks, I literally was just a mess. So I was like, this is not it. This is not what I want to do with my life. So I moved to Colorado with my dad, and that also isn't what I wanted. I didn't want to be a waitress working at the local store, and I was like, this isn't it. So I had a friend say, and I have to tell this story because everyone always wants to know this story. So I had a friend going into the Marine Corps. She was a waitress as well. And I was like, why? And she's like, just come to the recruiting office with me and talk to them. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I got nothing to lose. So I went in, and there's 21 people in my family that have served in the military, including our distant cousin. I think it's a cousin. I'll need to verify that. but Charlie Voris founded the Blue Angels. And so we've got a long history of uh, military in our family, which that was impressed upon me my whole life is military is important. And I went to see all the cemeteries, and I have a long history of knowing, history of why the U.S. has done what they've done. And so when I went to the recruiting station, my brother's in the army, and I always teased him. He's older than me, and we have a teasing relationship. And I was like, I can't do the army. My brother was in the band. I can't. And my brother is an awesome soldier. So I apologize for making fun of him sometimes, but it doesn't take away that he did what he needed to do in the service. So thank you, Matt, for your service. And then I went to the Air Force and they pushed college, college, college. And I think education is great, but I just had told them that I didn't know what I wanted. And they were like, you literally could do any job you want. You've got, great grades, leadership capacity. And I said, you're not listening to me. So they were a no because they didn't listen. They just were doing their agenda versus my agenda, and I wasn't being heard. And then I went into the Navy, and though I loved the Navy, I didn't want to go on a boat. And I'm a girl with a menstrual cycle, and they wore white bell-bottom uniforms, and that's out for me. So I was quickly eliminating all these people for my 18-year-old reasons. And then I went to the Marine Corps, and most of my friends were like, "Oh, you joined because the cute boys." I'm like, "Not really. Wasn't interested." But they said to me, you can do anything you want, and it will be a quote challenge." And I literally signed up that day, and I left a month later for boot camp. And I now had a direction with my life. I knew I could pay for some college. I knew I could travel the world. I knew that I'd be trained in a skill that I could make a career. And I was like, I didn't know if I'd be in it forever, but I knew it was a good starting place. And so that is what I did. So that was like July or August. And I left on September 11th to the military, and I served 4 years. And everyone always wants to know, I served in Okinawa, Japan, and San Diego, California. Fallbrook, California is where I lived. And I had two jobs. I transcribed top secret messages in a communication center all over the world. And then I worked in personnel for the commanding general of our base, and I helped him pick and assign his officer staff. So that's how I got my HR and my computer training. And so I had skills that most of my friends couldn't even dream of having after they got through college. And so for me, the military taught me values, it taught me skills. I got to travel. I love Japan, and it literally changed my entire life.
Well, you know what's interesting? At 18, when you made this decision to go into the Marines, you had already established the fact that you were assertive in that you knew what you wanted. And you had a process to rationalize each branch that whether they appealed to you or not. So you went down the list and said, no, this one's not going to work. This one's not going to work. Okay, I finally found a fit. So did that help you as you go on through life? Is that something you carried with you, is to be assertive,
Yes.
to rationalize the decision before you make it?
Yeah, I don't know who taught me that or where in life, but probably church. Is let your yes be yes and let your no be no and not be really wishy-washy. And so I knew that I had to ask myself the question, is this a fit for me and my life and where I am going? And I just quickly could kind of analyze and go yes or no. And so I'm always a pretty quick yes or no person. If I need to think about it, I just really trust my intuition. I ask, my higher power, God. I ask God to, please lead me in a direction so that I will know and trust myself. And so, make trusting yourself and making decisions is a really key gift that I've been given in life. Just to, if it's the wrong decision, I can always go back and change it. I've many times went back and changed a decision, but when I make a decision, I stick with it and go.
So you went through a lot, obviously, through the military, and you said you carried a lot of that with you out of the military into civilian life. And being in that military, is that where you decided to kind of get your background with this organizational management because you saw how this structure, or was it something that was needed that you wanted to jump into? Tell us about how all this came about in your MBA.
Yeah. So what happened is after the military, I got out for the reason that the higher rank of mom called me in my life. So I had two children in the military, Nathan and Natasha. And my highest calling was being a mom then. So I got out and I needed to find a job. So I went into a recruiting office and a temporary employment office. And I had no preconception of what I was going to do or what kind of job I was going to get. I just needed help. So I asked for help. And the reception was super happy and helping people. And I was like, hey, I would love this job. And she said, oh, well, we're hiring for this job. And so I asked to talk to the hiring manager right then on the spot. And I gave her my resume and she hired me. I think I started the next day. And within a very short time, I became the branch manager of that recruiting office because I went through reception to like an agent to a manager to a regional to like the big boss. And so I became the boss in like a 6 month time because I was teachable and I listened and I took some of those skills from the military, that organization and computers and just getting stuff done. And I really applied it to the work I was doing. Like it was my sole focus. And then from there, I was recruited to a different company. And then I was recruited to a third company, which is a Fortune 100 company. And so then I was managing companies doing the same thing. And I was the number one recruiter, number one branch in a region that my branch was failing when I took it over my last branch. And we turned it profitable. The staff, I built culture there. And so a lot of those things, like you asked me, did that come from the military? It came from military and corporate America because I also went to a ton of training, leadership training, how to build culture, how to build a team. But I think the core of it is the military, and faith, like how to treat people. Like I was taught at an early age that you love people and you be lovable and you're interested, not interesting. And so those are just some core skills that I think I grew up from my parents. So thank you, mom and dad. So
So you were very into, before I knew you, obviously, you were already into training, to learning more, not just about yourself, but about an organization or how to build up an organization. And you've carried that with you even to today, because I know you're very involved in trainings. You've had some great trainings behind you that you've participated in. So with all of this, when did you decide that it was time for you to create your own business, to step out of that whole corporate world and say,
yep.
okay, now let's do something on my own? Where did that happen and what caused that to happen?
Yeah. So in 2000, let's see, 2005, no, 2006, I got my dates wrong. I was actually sick, very sick. And at that point, I had transitioned out of recruiting into training and development. I was the training and development dean at a adult continuing education division, a college. And so I was teaching adult education and scheduling and working, but I just kept missing work. And I took this job, a different job, because I thought maybe a different schedule, like an 8 to 5 versus a, 7 to 7, might help my health. And what happened is when I took a little step back in time, I actually got more sick. And so I was actually diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And they told me this: you will be in a wheelchair in 6 months if you don't change your life. What everyone around me heard was wheelchair. You're going to be in a wheelchair. And what I heard was change your life. And the doctor said most people won't change their life. That's why they end up sicker, or is because they're not willing to follow the guidance of like, and so what they said to me was, hire a trainer, a personal trainer, change your diet, reduce your stress, make sure you are, balancing your life, like use all those stress management techniques to live a holistic, well-rounded life. And so what I did is I quit my six-figure job and I called a billionaire friend that you and I both know, Jordan Adler. And I said, Jordan, what does your VA do for you? And he said, which virtual assistant. And he said, why? Are you thinking about that? And I said, yes. I actually have been diagnosed with, MS, and I need to create a secondary income. And he's like, oh my gosh, if you are going to do this, I need to know. Write me an email, what you can do for entrepreneurs, and I'll send it out to my contacts. And he did so. And within literally less than like not a couple days, like less than a week, I had clients begging me to take them on, and I would custom build their processes. So like whatever they need. So Destiny, if it were you and you were calling me, I would be like, okay, tell me about your business. I interview you just like you're interviewing me. And what do you love to do? What do you hate to do? What do you need to do? What are you delegating? Where are your holes? Where do you need to make money? What's your pricing? What's your website? And I literally dissected their life. And then I said, okay, there's a gap here, there's a gap here, there's a gap here. I can do that. Let's build a process around it. So everything I do for every client is custom built, though over the years, client A and client B might need the same thing. And so that's how I decided cold turkey to do that. And then when I was really sick, I said, God, if you don't want me to be sick, I need you to do something for me. Take away the desire to be a mom one more time from me, because I don't want to raise a child sick. And what God did was in October of 2026, I found out I was pregnant. And the pregnancy hormone overrode the MS gene for a period of 9 months. And in that 9 months, I did exactly what those doctors said, and I changed my life. And I've never gone back to work 19 years later.
Wow, what an amazing story. I just want to go back real quick to where you were diagnosed when they told you had MS, and you're right, you came to the fork in the road, right? And you made a decision to do something that you heard the doctors say. Maybe they didn't really, everybody else said, well, you're going to be in a wheelchair, but you heard something very distinctly different, and that was change your life. How many times people get those types of information and they become stuck? They can become stuck in, oh my gosh, this is what I have to deal with. How am I going to get on with life? Yet you took that information and you made it a driving force to move forward to create a life that you now have. But a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that grit, that determination, that strength. But you found all that, but you also leaned into your faith to get you through it.
For sure. There's a quote. I'm reading a book and I'm going to look for it real quick. It is very, um, it's from the greatest salesman in the world. And it is failure, failure will never overtake you if your determination to succeed is strong enough. So I knew that if I was going to do it, I had to jump all in, like whether I was going to fail or succeed. So it was not comfortable for me to quit a corporate salary with benefits, and it was a great life, but I could either continue that and be sick, or I could truly do what they said and create a different path. And I was scared. Who wouldn't be scared? I sound so confident now because I've done it 19 years, and so, but looking back, I was scared and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was vulnerable. And so when, for example, one of my first clients, Sarah, when Sarah said, hey, I would like you to do this, this, and this, and I need this. And I was like, Sarah, I'm going to be honest. I don't know how to do it. I said, I'll figure it out, but you got to be patient with me, and I'm going to charge you for me figuring it out. But I'm not going to do work for free. But I did lots of work for free, lots of research and learning and classes. And, I did a lot for free, but I was very confident in that. I just was like, I was convicted, I think is the word, convicted, that I wasn't going to fail. And that's what made me succeed.
Now, is this where Success Troops came into play, where you started your
Yep.
business?
Yeah.
And what's interesting also, before we get into that real quick, you're taking the leap of going into your own business and starting your own business. And now that's another scary spot for people, especially today with the economy the way it is. They're trying to hang on to what they think is the security over here on the job, but yet they also have an ambition, a desire, or a passion to do something like you did. but you get that spot in the middle and it becomes a tug of war. Which way do you lean to? Do you go with what's safe, which is nothing wrong with that. That is fine. Or do you follow your passion? Do you follow your desire? Did you come across that at some points going, what in the heck, as you're doing all this, I should not be doing this? Or did you just
Yeah,
go,
of
nope,
course.
let's just do
Yeah,
it?
yeah, of course. No, I think every venture you always have, you're going to have, we all have like on this, you can do it. And on this window, we have, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Are you crazy? So I had to just really work through the mental capacity of, you know, being a business owner. But I think, and I now can see back. It's so interesting as you age, the wisdom that comes. I can see back that I put on this thing that the military taught me, and I've now learned through some of my certifications. When I work for Tony Robbins, it's called a triad, and I put on my badass Marine triad, which is my persona that I took, and I was like, my badass Marine isn't going to fail. My insecure, wondering new business owner triad, yeah, that person might fail, but I wore I took my most successful time and I acted, talked, moved, walked, worked like her versus the scared person. And so, I had to lean into the powers that I already had, not, you know, if I was just scared, I probably would have never done anything.
What's interesting, I want to jump real quick. You had the opportunity to work under Tony Robbins. Understand that. And as a matter of fact, I just finished watching a video with Lewis Howes and Tony Robbins together. And Tony Robbins, a dynamic individual, very high energy, very high power. I mean, there's 100% energy, and then there's Tony Robbins energy, right? So, how did that particular experience, working under Tony Robbins, help you move forward with your business and in life?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about this in just a little bit, but this is all the things that I do, all my income streams. And so one of these is coaching. And so what happened there is I was questioning, my daughter just graduated from high school and went to college about a year ago. And I was like, am I going to continue doing what I've done for 18 years at that point? And I was like, I don't know. So a couple years before that, was playing with the idea of becoming a professional coach, an executive coach. And I have another friend that we're talking, like we talk like about real things. And she said, you need to become a coach. And I was like, okay. I was like, anyone, you can coach even without a certification. I have people that do it all the time. And she said, Tony Robbins is hiring. You need to apply. And I was like, okay. So I applied and not knowing if I'd even be considered. And I literally got a phone call. I mean, ASAP, it was like on a Thursday. They said training, 12 or 14-week training is starting on Monday. You cannot miss one single day. I had a surgery scheduled and they were like, sorry, you're going to have to figure that out. And I'm like, okay. So, and it was long, long days and it was intense. It was like more intense than boot camp. And I did get in. I paid for the coaching certification. So I'm not only have many other coaching certifications, but I paid for the Tony Robbins, training, coaching academy. And I became a coach for Tony Robbins. And one of the best experiences of my life. Such a fabulous man, fabulous company. My clients were all amazing. And it was absolutely fabulous. And I worked there just right at 2 years being a professional coach. And I did business, executive coaching, health coaching, startup coaching, just personal coaching for people. So you name it, I did it. And I coach people all over the world.
That is something I think a lot of people that are looking to be inspired, a lot of people hear about Tony Robbins and they think, wow, what it would be like to be in that room, to learn under him and to pick his brain a little bit about what he does. So the years that you got to work with him, what is something that really stuck with you coming out of that? If there was one thing about Tony Robbins or through the coaching class that really stuck with you, what would it be?
That I create my own reality. And so I must simply decide what it is I want and then go get it. Like there's no block in my way.
Wow, that's amazing. You've been through so much, and I kind of want to turn the page a little bit. As you know, the mantra on the podcast is rise, inspire, and overcome. in your life, you had to overcome some serious obstacles. Health, obviously, one of them when you were, going through a lot, you diagnosed with MS. Let's turn real quick. You had a tragedy in your life,
I did.
kind of something that
Yeah.
we kind of shared together in
Yeah.
our lives. Do you want to touch on
Yeah.
that tragedy? That
Sure.
boy, that was
I'd
a
be
tough
happy
one.
to. It was tough. So, June of 2017, I had realized that I was in a failing marriage. So, I sought out a place for myself to live, and I told my husband, then husband, that I was going to get my own place, in hopes that he would pursue me and we'd fix our problems. And that didn't happen that way. What happened was that night. So that was the day, right? Imagine yourself how stressful that day was in my life. And it didn't go over well, that conversation, let's just say. And that night, I text my children all the time. And I had texted my daughter, Natasha, that I loved her, have a good night at Friday Fest. And we just talk all the time. And she said, I love you, was like the last thing she said. And then I just did not hear from her, which is not usual. And I was like, gosh, that's so weird. And then the next day, the next morning, Saturday, I get a call from my oldest son, and he's crying hysterically. And I just knew in my heart that something had happened. But he was like, "Are you home?" I'm like, "Yes." And he was like, and then he told me that Natasha had died in a car accident, and he's on his way to me. And before he got to me, the cops are at my house, and my daughter had swerved off of a road, hit a culvert, flipped her car several times, landed upside down in a lake, and she drowned that night, about midnight. And the funny thing was that night, and this is an important part of the story, is because we always get messages somehow that night at midnight. My youngest daughter, Danelle, called me, and the mom called where she was staying the night and it's like, your daughter is hysterical. I do not know why. She wants to come home. She's adamant. I cannot calm her down. Can you come get her? And so I went and I picked her up right around midnight. And that is when the time of death was for Natasha. And so my youngest daughter knew, spiritually connected to her sister. Um, I knew that something had gone, like I just felt it in my soul. And life didn't matter. Business didn't matter at that point. Like money didn't matter. Titles didn't matter. Clients didn't matter. What mattered was that I lost one of my very best friends, my 24-year-old daughter, who had two jobs, her own place, her own vehicle. And she was getting it together after she had been involved in a drug crowd for many years. And she was getting it together, and she literally had it together. And she just had told me recently, before that, people were trying to call her and pull her back into that world. And she didn't, she just asked me to pray for her. So I, on Facebook, all my friends were praying for her, and like, and then I lost her, and I didn't even know how to function at that point. Like, um, I had a staff of 13 people, and they kept my virtual assistant business alive. I didn't keep it alive. They kept it alive. And thank goodness I had delegated and asked for help over the years, because without that team, um, Stephanie and Michelle and a couple other people, like I really wouldn't have been able to stay afloat. Like I probably would have, but I just don't know how. But yeah, so lost one of my very, very closest friends' daughter. Not only did I lose her, my kids lost their sister. My ex-husband lost his daughter. Natasha's dad and stepmom, from another marriage, they lost her. Like we all lost her. You lost her. You knew her. We had went to a conference with her, and like she just had this amazing sweet soul. And like, how do you fill a void when someone you love, and I know you know this, how do you fill the void when someone you love the most, like one of my dearest confidants in life, when she's gone? like we loved each other and we hated each other. We had that relationship because she was a tough girl. But
Right.
at the end of the day, she loved her mom, right? And I was like, ugh, it was so hard.
Well, as you mentioned, she was, yes, I did get to know her. She had a beautiful soul. I mean, having the opportunity to talk to her and to meet her, she was, she's somebody who was so full of life when I got to know her. And, and you could feel she was one of those people who you could truly feel you could have a connection with just in life. It was just somebody. And so, there is no filling the void. You really can't fill the void because it's going to always be there. I think
Yep.
that the best thing that you can do, in those situations, because I know we've had the conversation when all this happened, is the most important thing is to try to remember the memories of those who have gone, and especially when it's a child. When it's a child, there's a void that I don't think you can ever be replaced, no matter
Yeah.
what. But
Yeah.
what's interesting is she had and you remind this every once in a while, you'll see it. She had a unique thing with butterflies, which I think is just so amazing because I can't look at a butterfly and not think of her. But can you tell us how that connection with the butterflies and all
Yeah,
that?
sure. So, it's so interesting. Like the things you know about people that sometimes you just repress in your memory. The day she died, um, I went Facebook Live and I told people what happened, and it's still my most watched video ever. So, and I didn't do it for numbers. I did it because I'd created long-standing relationships, and I don't even know where that came from, but in that live, I said, my daughter loved butterflies. If wouldn't mind, can you post a butterfly on your timelines, your socials, in memory of my daughter? And and then the other thing that I has come, we'll talk about 1111 111 a little bit. That came a little bit later, but so I still today, like, I mean, thousands and thousands of people in the US and all over the world. But so thank you, anyone who's watching this and sees this. Like, I get pictures of butterflies, I mean, weekly still. And it's been, this will be 10 years that she's, oh, let's see, oh, six, no, it'll be 9 years that she's been passed. But people text me butterflies. People send me butterfly videos. I get gifts that have butterflies still today after all this time. So that was a representation that Natasha and I had built really great relationships with people. And today it's a sign that she's still with me. It's a sign of life. And so every time I see a butterfly, I remember that she's not here physically, but she is here eternally. And so we're always connected. And I know that, she's become, this amazing force in heaven that speaks on my behalf to God. I know she has. So she's like, I know that, she probably sends out warring angels on my behalf. So, and they might come wrapped as a butterfly. So I just know that I know that I know. And, there's also an owl and a 1111. There's lots of signs, but I know that she sends them. So,
You know, Going back when we had the chance to work in an organization together, we both had the opportunity to know David Gilmour. David Gilmour, for those who don't know, was the founder of Fiji Water and many other successful companies. He's long past, rest in peace. But you were recognized by him with the highest achievement in that organization. As a matter of fact, you were the first one to receive, if I correct, the award. And I remember watching the video. I just saw the video, and I remember watching it, and you were so emotional because you had received the award, and this was after Tasha's accident. And to hear you speak about the award, because it originally wasn't about you, didn't make it about you. And one thing I remember in that is you spoke directly to people who had children or adults or parents, and how quickly life changes in a flash. And I think people need to stop sometimes and realize that, maybe they're having a bad day with their child, or maybe even with their maybe with their parents. I mean, let's just say we're not perfect, right? But maybe people need to stop and realize that tomorrow, you may not have that opportunity to say, I love you again. Right. Do you remember that conversation? Do you remember that speech that
Um,
you gave?
I remember it. I watch it all the time. So I have people send it to me all the time. So yeah. So I think I was the second person. The first year before that, there was one other recipient of it. So I'm the second person. And then they actually stopped the award after that. But the award was called the Bulldog Award. And it was, the person that kind of embodied what the company stood for and helping other people. And so it wasn't about me, it was about helping others believe in themselves enough that they could do it too. Because I believe, this is my belief, that I can build successful businesses. I know this to be true. But if I can't help you do it or someone else do it, then have I really built a withstanding, long lasting system? And so, duplication in any kind of business venture, in my opinion, like if I have a staff that can't do my work, if I have a team that can't duplicate, if I, am the only person that can do it, then am I truly free? And I love to be at choice and I want to live a free life where if I want to go get my nails done, or if I want to go to the chiropractor, or if I want to, go to Timbuktu today, I can do that. And so you can't be the only person that has all the wealth and the knowledge. You have to ask people to help you and bless their lives too. And so, yeah, that was the moral of the talk. But I think I said the closing line, I think I said was, I want to be known as the girl who got it done. Because someone said to me, in fact, Vanessa is the person, Vanessa said to me years and years ago, you're the girl with potential. And I hated that. I was like, oh, I hate that. I don't want to be the girl with potential. I want to be the girl with potential that then does something with it because we all have potential. It's a matter of if you apply yourself. And so that's where I think, I was like, I'm a quick decision maker. And like I said, if I make the wrong decision, I'll go back and make a different decision. But I, yeah, I don't, I have lots of decisions to make every day. And I think it's a skill that a lot of people could get better at is trusting themselves to make a decision and go.
You got obviously they named it the Bulldog Award, and thinking about prior to that, all that you had gone through up to that was all leading you to become the Bulldog, right? I mean, you were strong, strong, you were strong-willed, you weren't going to let anything stop you. You'd live in, life at choice. For somebody out there who's like listening to this and going, yeah, you've gone through it, but man, I've got all this going on. I'd love to have that opportunity to live at choice, but I've got so many obligations. How do I find time to even look at something like that? What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's like, I'd like to have that. How do I get
Yeah.
that?
Well, the first thing is know that I'm praying for you, that you can do it, that you believe in yourself, that you can do it. That's the first thing is know that you're already wrapped in prayer and that I have you. The second thing is, remember what you see now is who I've become, not who I was. So I was the person that worked a reception desk making $8 an hour that went home crying because I couldn't pay my bills. I was the mom who couldn't give my kids Christmas. I was a network marketer who was terrified to talk to one person. I was, you know, I have had, I've had relationships, marriages that have not worked. And I could have quit, like in that case, I could have quit trying to love. But instead, through Tony Robbins, I was encouraged. I took a course. I have to go here. Sorry. I took a course through Tony Robbins that said it was called the Ultimate Relationship Program. And I did the work. And I realized in there, oh, I do have a desire to be loved and to be with someone because I thought I was just going to be single and alone and rich for the rest of my life. And I tried one more time and I met my husband and he's just the best man in the world. And so if I would have not been open to trying and really listen to my heart's desires, I would still be just working a lot and having lots of money. And so just really trust yourself with what you want and then make the choices that support it. But it's literally like you got to be in the muck more than you got to be in the glory. And so on this interview, you're seeing me here at this end of the podium, but there's all of this over here. Like not everything I do is glorious. And in fact, most of the work that I do, even still today, is not glorious. Like most people wouldn't want to work. Like the other day, I worked from 7:30 till 2 a.m. because I had staff that couldn't fill in and I needed work to be done. And so most people wouldn't do that. Right.
Wow.
And I don't do
Yeah.
it all the time, but I did do it. And so you have to be willing to do the work.
So you've kind of mastered you're mastered, you've got these multiple streams of income. So you're kind of managing and mastering the wealth side of the equation. But that's only one part of it. The other part of it, as David Gilmour's big thing is nothing else matters if you don't have your health. Health is a very big, important thing to you. Talk to us about how health has become so important in your life and what you're doing with it now.
Yep. Well, I was the sickest person I knew. I was one of not the heaviest, but I was almost 150 pounds overweight. And I was like, I am on the wrong trajectory at that point. And I was like, how do you get from there to where you want to be? And so I sought out some health solutions. I started taking some supplements. I went to doctors. I hired weight loss people. I actually, and not everyone knows this, and I don't care if people know it, but I actually did bariatric sleeve surgery, and then years ago. But the thing is, with bariatric surgery, it's just a tool. Like most people who do it gain their weight right back. And I determined if I was going to do it, I was never going to gain the weight back because I did it for a reason and a purpose. And it's again that change your life thing, is live it, right? But I mean, and then I was like, okay, I also became a certified well coaches health coach. I got a nutrition certification. I became a chef certified. I just decided I got my certified personal trainer just last year. And I decided if I'm going to do health, I'm going to live health every day. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to drink water every day. I'm going to put nutritious food in my body. I'm going to help myself at a cellular level. I'm not going to put any chemical products on my skin, my hair, and so everything is clean in my life. Not everything. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do eat candy bars. But I do have ice cream. And so but it's in moderation. And so what I just determined was if I was going to teach other people this, I had to live it. And so I'm grateful, grateful, grateful that I was overweight. I was sick because if someone came to me and was like, I didn't know you had MS. I didn't know you were overweight. I didn't know you were the sickest person. I can help them because I know the mental thoughts that happen when you're not where you want to be. And so I am grateful that I was all of those things because it made me who I am today. It made me go, that's not what I want. And so for me to maintain in a daily life what I do want, I have to remember what I don't want.
You know, Health is such a big thing to you. Obviously, you just talked about that. Let's talk about how the nutrigenomics plays into this, because some people may not even know what you're talking about when you say that.
Yeah.
So for somebody out who doesn't know what that is, doesn't understand it, tell them what this is all about.
Yeah, so nutrigenomics and like biohacking, you might have heard of that word. So biohacking is simply, changing your lifestyle to what it is you want. And so you might, how you're eating, how you're, what kind of clean water you're intaking, what's happening on a cellular level. So I do blood work every 6 months because I want to know on a cellular level what is happening. So I just go to a place called Ulta Lab. Anyone can go there, and I just get a complete blood count panel. And I literally look at it. And then what I did is I taught myself how to read that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I certainly go to a doctor a lot because I want they're they're my partner, and I'm like, tell me what this means. And so I ask lots of questions. I'm that patient. I'm like, what does this mean? How do I get this down? Why is this cholesterol high? What does that mean? And so I literally take the time to learn what it is. And then what I did is I went and I found a company that I love, and Destin can tell you about it as well. But it's a company that they have cellular health products and gut microbiome products and brain health products that I'm like, and do I use other companies' products? Yes, I do, because I love the industry itself where people are selling direct to consumer. And so, but for me, I wanted my cell to be optimal. And so how it started was I called a friend, Michelle, and I said, hey, what was it? This number is too big on my chart. And she said, oh, you need to take this. And I was like, okay. I was like, do you have studies or anything that I can read? And she's like, I do actually. And so I love that this is a publicly traded company. They've got national studies, scientific studies, PubMed.gov studies. And so I was like, okay, I got to put this in my system. So I gave her a challenge. I said, I'm going to take your product for 30 days and we'll see what it does. And in 30 days, that number went from 256 to 99, which 100 is normal on that number. So from 256 to 99 in a 30-day window. And I was like, okay, I will never not take this product because it made that number from extremely high to normal. And then I was like, okay, if this product does that, I need all the other products. And so I not only take those products, but now I resell those products and I help other people start businesses so they can resell the products. And then I educate them so that they feel comfortable enough to share with people. And when they don't know how, me and the team of people, we educate for them. So it's pretty cool.
There's a lot of people out there who would love the opportunity to learn about their bodies. And it's some people don't understand the scientific stuff behind it. They just want to know, does this help me? Will it help me? Show me that it helps me. They don't understand the medical side of things. They don't like to read a lot of stuff. But you can put it in a simple form for them, a simple solution
Mm-hmm.
for them so they can understand what it is they're doing. And I think that's what really makes
Yep.
it with what you do and the way you explain things. You make it sound fun. And that's
Yeah,
important
of
because
course.
who wants to do anything that's not fun, right? I mean, if it's
Exactly.
boring,
Yeah.
why do it?
Yeah.
Right. So,
Well, and
and I
this
think
is
that's,
the thing,
go ahead.
Destin. A couple years before I was introduced to this one product that I was like, I'll test it for 30 days. I had been on that through a BNI meeting. Someone had said, you've got to take this product years prior. And I took that same product years prior, but that person, I didn't feel any difference. So I quit taking it after a certain like 90-day window or 120-day window or whatever it was. I stopped because I was like, why am I spending money on this if I don't feel any different? What I didn't know, that person just did not educate me on this is what's happening with it. This is what you're not going to maybe feel different, but these are how you can check your numbers and like notice the things like, are you sleeping better? Is your skin more clear? Like people all the time, like, I'm 56 at this very moment. And like, I have wrinkles and I'm proud of those wrinkles. Those are well earned. But all the time people are like, you have great skin for your age. And I'm like, okay, thanks. That's products, that's natural, normal human cellular products. That's not me. I've never had any work done or anything, I'm like, it's because I take care of myself. And so, you know, you're not always going to feel a difference, but you can measure it by if someone's coaching you and going, what are you noticing? Like, and then when you stop taking it, what changes? Like nobody ever helped me in that first scenario know that like maybe I was sleeping better. Maybe I was detoxing, but I didn't know what signs to look for. And so how would I have known it was working? And so you want to work with someone that is going to not only they're going to educate you, they're going to teach you, they're going to help you. And your choice. You decide what products you take and what you don't. Like nobody's going to force you.
I think that's hard today too, with you see all these ads, you can look on any social media platform or even on TV of all these different types of, medications and vitamins. And it's no wonder that people get so overwhelmed because they're like, I can't even trust. how am I supposed to trust any of this stuff? But they're bombarded. So the idea is to really do your due diligence and wade through all the junk that's out there and focus on what's really good. And I think that's where it's important for people to reach out to somebody who's going through it, who's doing it, who's using the products, so they can be a true testimony of what it is that they're looking for.
Right. And stories are what people buy. They buy the emotion of a story. And so I don't say that because it's not manipulative. Like, but like if you came to me and you said, I've got this going on, and I was like, you know what? I don't know of anyone with that's taking this, but I might go ask my peers and say, do you know anyone that had this and their experience with this? And they may have a story. And so I may just simply reshare the story and just be like, this is not my story. This is what, XYZ person said. And I want you to do your due diligence. I want you to try it. I want you to give it enough time. No, there is no, just like you're not going to get rich right overnight. You are not going to get healthy overnight. It is a long process. You have to do it consistently. So you want to give products of any kind, mine or anyone else's or Destin's or whoever else's, give it enough time to do the work in your body. So like I've been taking these products now for years. I think this is, and before that I did a detox series. I did some other things. And so this is not, I didn't get healthy yesterday. It's a process, years of work. And so you must give it time, duration to work is really, all good things take time.
Right. I think that's a big thing today, just because we live in a society now where everything's got to be now, right? Well, I took it today, I want results tomorrow. Reality is that is not the case. You can't expect that to happen. We've touched on so much, but I really want to get back to, where did Ultimate Manifesto come into play? Because you went from Success Troops into Ultimate Manifesto. Tell us about that transition and what that's all about.
Yeah. So after 18 and a half years, my daughter graduated, went to college, and I was like, do I want to keep doing what I'm doing? And so this is my little chart here, and I'm just going to read you some of the things. So I'm going to go around it. So my main business is a virtual assistant team. And so we do social media creation, social media posting, recognition, confirm appointments, keep in touch, all of those things, like anything administrative, WordPress, like websites, maintenance, that kind of stuff. So basically anything you would touch administratively. And that's been my bread and butter for those years. And then the next tier per se, and these are what I call divisions. This next division is operations management. So I have been hired by multiple companies to go and assess their systems, their SWOT analysis, their marketing. And so what's happening with their operations, including, is the team in the right places? Because as a professional recruiter, and helping people figure out what they wanted and assessing skills, not everyone is meant to do all jobs. And so that's something that can happen. A next tier is coaching, as you know. So I've got my wellness coaching, my weight management, my career, because I was a career coach forever, job searching, relationships. It's my new one. I'm going to take on relationships, helping other people, accountability, goal attainment, startup, business, network marketing. I coach some of the world's number one network marketers in their businesses. I was their coach. And so it's pretty fun to coach network marketers, actually. The next division is Happy for No Reason. So Marcy Shimoff actually has a company called Happy for No Reason. And I'm losing the other one, it's not the year of you, but it's something like that. It's not that name, but so I actually can, at this point, I'm certified trainer for her. So I can go into corporations and businesses and teach people about the mindset and the skill set of happiness, because I'm a pretty happy person, I would say. And it's something I love. It's a passion project for me, but teaching people how to be happy is a skill that people need to focus on, because 97% of everything that comes into your life is negative. And so we must ramp up the happiness gene, and it's a trained skill. And so speaking, I've done corporate speaking with that. The next division, and I'll go through these a little quick, is tech training. I have lots of people that hire me to, like, I don't know how to use this software, and I teach them over Zoom how to use the software one-on-one. It also could be a group of people, but those are courses or software or trainings. So just tech skills. I love the computer. We are friends. I've never met a software I couldn't manage. And then I have my next one, and these are all things that came out of starting the virtual assistant business. Is people were like, "Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do this?" And I was like, I can't do all of it, but a team can. I'm hiring for companies, so we have a team of people that screens, interviews, and gets people ready for the hiring managers to hire. Recruiting, so companies have hired me to recruit and hire their staff. And then resume writing, that's my very first business that I ever started 32 years ago, is a resume writing business. So thousands of resumes have been written, and I've got recruiting firms all over the world that are like, will you look at these resumes for us? Can you make this better for us? And people then hire me to do their resume, hire our team. And then last year, I really, really pushed the certifications. So I got my certified personal trainer, my chef coaching, and then I am almost complete with a nutritional coaching because, again, I've ventured, I've looked at everything: carnivore, keto, plant-based, Mediterranean. I've looked at them all, and so there isn't one that fits all. It's you and your choices and what works for you and your body, your system, your gene makeup, because it's going to be different for everyone. And then branding, I have several clients that I've done their branding, both personal branding and professional branding. And then website development. My dad retired and I took over his web development company. And so we do GoDaddy, WordPress, Wix, Go High Level. So I'm a agency for those. So I actually can set people up with their own accounts. And those companies then, again, bless and benefit me for managing and teaching people how to use their own systems. That's what I do. And then my last one is, and I have two companies, international companies, a startup and a really well-developed leadership training company that's hired me to be project management. And so those are, taking like a Gantt chart and taking every system, every process, and really who's doing what, and me overseeing and managing all of that. So, and then my newest one that's coming, you're the first person to know about this.
All right.
So this year, because I love to travel, I'm going to start a new division that's called On-Site VA. And it's where I come to you, or one of my teammates comes to you, and we help you get organized and get your systems in process. And then we have a ongoing follow-up to make sure your systems are intact. Because how many of you have cleaned off your desk ever? Right?
Right.
And then later, your desk is still a mess, right? And you're like, oh, that system doesn't work. No, the process didn't work. And so you need accountability to stay in the system until it becomes a habit. So that is Ultimate Manifesto, which is what that means is you living your highest calling. And so I do that through technology and systems.
Wow, that's amazing. You know what's really interesting about this is none of this would have happened if we go back to that point where you made the decision to step away and do things on your own, venture out on your own. That would have been the catalyst for you to do what you're doing today. Because have you ever thought in your mind, like, what if I hadn't? What if I had stuck with just a company? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be married today. I probably wouldn't have Danelle today. I'd probably still be overweight. I'd probably still be sick. I might even not be here because I was so unhealthy. And so, yeah, it's really a pivot point for sure.
I can hear the listener out here going right now saying, well, you've got all this stuff going on that you're doing. How and when do you take time for yourself, though? How do you keep yourself going with all of these businesses that you have going on? How do you take
Yeah.
care of Michelle?
Yeah, I do a lot. I do very well at it, actually. So, I mean, I work long hours, but that's by choice. I am hiring, and so I will have, some auxiliary staff helping again. So that's one way. But is I've got routines. So every day I wake up, And I, walk on my treadmill. I drink my water. So I've got these glass water bottles that I love. And I've got four of them that I fill up. And I literally measure that I drink these every day. I sit in my infrared sauna. I go use my hot tub. Then I shower and get ready for the day. So that's morning, right? And then I make sure I take time away every day and I go sit in the other room. I don't eat at my desk ever. And I eat lunch and I make sure it's, good food. And so on the weekend, I shop so that I know I have the food that I need. Um, and then in the evening, I make sure that I always step away for dinner and I have dinner with my husband and we talk about the day and we'll read for a little bit. And then I don't watch TV Monday through Thursday ever. I do not even touch that thing. And then Friday night is my Netflix night. And then Saturday, we do our personal errands and I do, I don't work on the weekends ever. I don't work on Saturdays. I don't work on Sundays. And then we generally try and see some family on the weekend. And so my family knows, they're going to get me, Friday night or sometime on the weekend. And so clear boundaries of when I work, when I don't. But on the weekend, lots and lots of quality time with my family and my spouse. And now that I'm a empty nester, which is so fun for those of you who are like, no offense, children, but it's so fun. Like, I love that I have my time. And I remember all the times where I was driving to school and doing the after school and going to drama club and going to volleyball and, going to soccer and all of the things. And that has calmed down in my life. So that's helped a little bit where I can really focus on what I need to focus on. Where before, as a single mom or a married mom that, was running life on her own, I was juggling all the time. But it's a little more calm now. And I love to travel. We take lots of like day trips and my husband's a teacher. And so he's got spring break off, 2 months in the summer off, 2 weeks in December off. So every July and every December, we take a 2 week vacation. So there's 4 weeks of travel right there. Plus, I have two conferences I'm going to. So there's two more trips. So we're looking at four. I mean, I do 4 to 12 trips a year, lots of trips. So
So, so it's very important. What you're saying is very important, despite all the craziness that's going on in a daily life. It's very important that you make some time. If you have to
yeah,
create that, wherever that is, to take care of yourself, whatever that is for you, that creates some relief, that creates a place of relaxation where you can reconnect with yourself. That's what you're saying.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the thing that I love to do, I love to, yes, absolutely. I love to read. My number one go-to for stress is coloring. Most people don't know that. I love to color. So I've got markers and colored pencils and those little books where you color in every little section of the butterfly.
Mhm.
I'm like, I love those because they help me process my stress. And so and deep breathing every day at 5:30. My family has a phone call and we actually do box breathing together every single day, 7 days a week, because it helps my whole entire family keep manage their stress. And so these are just things that we've implemented into life.
We have touched on so much here as we get ready to wrap things up. But you're a veteran, you're a woman-owned business owner. Let's talk real quick. If there's a veteran out there, veteran woman out there who served in the military, what kind of message would you want to send to them, especially when it comes down to the ultimate manifesto? What is it something that you would like them to take away today that are listening to this?
And I would say male or female, and veteran or not veteran, is what is it you want in your life? And what are the things? Because what Tony says is where your focus goes, energy flows. And so focus on what it is you want and then put your energy there. And so if someone's a veteran, look back at your skills that you had in the military and see how you can turn that into something. Um, you know, Reach out if you want to brainstorm on what business you could start and how to start a business, because I'm super happy to help you. Or if you need to get a paying job, I always tell people, if you need to get a paying job, get a paying job, because when you have security, certainty in your life, you can then make other decisions on top of it and later change. But take care of your livelihood first.
All right. Well, as you mentioned, reach out to you. How can people reach out to you, Michelle?
I'm going to actually just have you do info, info at ultimatemanifesto.com. That's the easiest way to not spell my name. So info at ultimatemanifesto.com. And I am rebuilding my website. I literally just changed my company LLC. So it is going to be ultimatemanifesto.com. Right now, that just takes you over to another landing page. But yeah, I would love to hear from you. And the more friends, the better, because my motto is people matter and love and be loved. So please reach out because you'll have a new friend.
Well, I'll tell you what, Michelle, it's always great to reconnect with you, staying in touch with you, and through life's ups and downs, we've kind of relied on each other, and it's great, to create that. I have one final question that I leave with, and that is to you. You've been a veteran, you've served in the military, but at this point in your life, what does freedom mean or look like to you?
Well, freedom for me is, and then I have to give you a little shout out as well at the end of this. Sorry, we have to do that. But freedom for me is being at choice, like getting to choose what you do, with who you do it, when you do it, and how you do it. And so, it really comes down to just being at choice, is owning your life through the decisions you make. So, and some of those can be good and some of those can be bad, but the more better ones you choose, the better you'll be.
I was going to say real quick, the good thing about the bad things is you can learn from them and not do them again.
Yeah, absolutely. We all learn the hard way sometimes, right? I always tell people I got to learn the hard way. So I want to give Destin a shout out. I know he's not asking for this, but I'm going to do it because I know him. So Eagle Freedom Presents is new, and Destin he just has a heart of gold. And so I would ask a couple things is A, if you can help him financially to keep this show on the road, please do so. And that could be, as little as you want. But Destin, I'm thinking you should probably make a subscription model where people like Caleb does $20 a month. Like, let people subscribe to you. Like, we can set that up like easy peasy. Press of a button in PayPal. But the other thing is, who needs to hear, like, if you know someone remarkable, call Destin or reach out to Destin and give him the name of incredible people that you know. Like, I have someone that Destin needs to interview for sure. I can think of several people, but give him the names, and not only just give him the names, but make a connection with him so that he's got another friend, another associate, another comrade that he can then interview, and that can bless more people. This is a ripple effect business. And so the word of mouth is key, but it's not free. Destin is going to need money. He's, maybe there's a grant writer out there, that can help him get grants, but there's people that need to hear these messages, and the production time and I've helped many people start a podcast, and just what it does, the editing and the processing and the uploading and the promoting, and like, it takes time, energy, and money. And so please turn it back around and bless Destin, and not just the speakers you hear on here, but bless him and really what he's doing, because his heart is one of service. And I love you so much, brother. So thank you for being the amazing human you are.
Oh, that was so amazing. Thank you very much. And for those of you out there that are listening and watching this, we just want you to understand that as we end all the episodes, that you too can rise, inspire, and overcome. God bless.
To learn more about our mission and become a part of #Rio Movement, visit EagleFreedomPresents.com. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs a beacon of hope. If you know someone who has an amazing story of overcoming, send us an email to EagleFreedomPresents@gmail.com. And remember our mantra: rise, inspire, overcome. Podcast distribution for Eagle Freedom Presents provided by Podetize. Visit podetize.com for all your podcast needs.